Well, hello, and welcome back to McD Guitars. We've got a lot of catching up to do. I haven't seen you guys in a while, but it's been a fantastically fun summer, and although I haven't gotten a lot of video work done, we have gotten a lot of guitar work done, so I was always able to catch snippets here and there. So obviously we've got our new journey going, and that's what we're gonna kind of work on. We're really close to wrapping up. We'll get into that as we get into the episode. We've also got a lot of work done on our Flying V, so I could just sit here and talk all day, but I think we'll just go ahead and jump in and let's get some work done today. And I'll catch you guys up to where we're at, and can't wait to see what you guys think. So let's check it out.
So as we mentioned in an earlier video, I went ahead and outsourced the thinnest push-pull pot I could possibly find. And it was still just too big to go in there. So we do need one more hole. 8 control knobs may seem a little excessive, but we have some pretty cool stuff going on in this guitar. Love the piezo, love coil split, and we need acoustic volume. So there it is. Did a little bit of laying out for a while and saw where it would be a nice fit, and everything should still be easy to get to. Most of these effects aren't something you're going to be doing mid-song. It's something you would probably set the sound of the guitar and then do your thing from there. And as you see here, we're going to go ahead and give that a nice little bevel. Just hand bevel that thing in to get that, get that potentiometer to just really flushly sit in there. And away we go. In the end, I really should have made this guitar have a little more room in the body. Everything fits, but it really is like building a ship in a bottle. And we're not going to see much video of me installing hardware on this because, it would have been, I guess I could have put it in fast forward and given you guys a good laugh, but I'm sure there wouldn't have been much good angles to get with the camera as I was trying to maneuver things into spot one by one. I really am enjoying these complicated builds. As far as electronics go, it is really a learning experience. I've got good literature, but a lot of the things I'm doing are out of the box. As you can see, here's our setup to get going. Like I said, really wouldn't have got a lot of video there. But yeah, we're starting to get together. We do put a 1K resistor and a 2K resistor on the split coils, let some of that other coil bleed through. And there we go. We are all together and it is playing and sounding pretty nice.
Well, here we are. Why are we all back apart? Well, just as in any complicated wiring, the first time never works. The rear pickup sounded just great, but had a little bit of issue with front pickup and with the acousticness. So I'm sure by the third time we put this together, we will have correct wiring and be ready to go. It's kind of in the go, so audio of this guitar will come. It does sound very good. But once we got it together and I started playing, came to an interesting realization that this neck it's just a tiny bit not right. A little bit thick maybe. I'm going to contour it again. I'm pretty sad. It's just beautiful and lustrous and looking great and feeling smooth, but playing it, it's like it needs a little bit of something. So we will work this neck down a little, get some electronics back together, and we're going to revisit that in our next episode. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to dive over into Flying V World. Got a pretty good start on this, and I hope you guys enjoy what we got going here. And let's take a look and see how this thing is processing out. All right, we'll see you in a little bit.
So we went ahead and cut our slab of Babinga in half and have our V's ready to go. So I guess it's time to get this neck through going. This is a piece of Honduras rosewood, and we have Babinga sides, a flame maple top, and we're going to do a zero coat fretboard. Should be a fun guitar. So, man, it is an hour here, an hour there for 2 to 3 weeks, just getting this piece of wood square. In the high spots, I used a hand plane, and, being rosewood, it ever so slightly mars, even with the sharp blade. Nothing serious, but did go ahead and finish it off with a sanding leveling beam. And yeah, it took a while. It was some pretty hard wood. And here we are, we're there. And as I always say, I can't stress enough when we're getting into our truss rod, we're taking really small passes here. And when you're in these thicker woods that really can just jump around and cause issues, so slow and easy with small passes we go. And we will eventually find a home for our truss rod here. This 2 minutes was a 48-minute video that I was really tempted to just do a super in-depth, detailed video on routing for a truss rod. And as you can see there, we're going to do carbon fiber inserts on this neck also. I really feel this neck is stable and I'm not going to have any issues with the stability of it. We're doing the carbon inserts to reduce weight. This is very heavy wood, so every bit of it we can remove and replace with something lighter will be a good thing for, in the end, we don't want to have any neck dive or any issues like that. And being the way our body is, our neck's going to be, I think we should come out pretty well weighted. Obviously a Flying V is not too much of a lap guitar, but we still want it to feel good on the strap. It's really important to do good measurements for these carbon inserts. If we go a little too deep on these, it can interfere with carving the neck. So always triple check these measurements and you'll be much happier for it. But yeah, we're pretty much about there, so it's time to get a little more going. At the end here, we can see that we are pretty ready to go. Only some slight chiseling to get a final home for everything. So let's get the bandsaw out. We went ahead and did some good measurements. Our maple top is going to end up probably about 8 mil thick. So 8 mil for our maple top, 16 mil for our bridge. We need to angle that to the end of our fretboard so we can have a proper neck angle. And that's what we did. We went ahead and did those measurements, and I'm making that initial cut here. You won't see that piece come off because I went ahead and hand cut the end of it so we'd have a really straight flat edge at the end of the fretboard. But yeah, it really works well in the end. I decided to just go in real time on this section of the video so we can kind of watch and see how it happens. As we always mention, it's really important to make sure your wood is square before you start dragging it through the bandsaw. This is a really important cut right here. If this comes off at an angle, it's going to take some serious sanding and work to flatten that to the Bingo V wings. So really careful there. And now we get to have some fun. It's generally when you're doing a neck through like this, you're going to leave the neck flat, this blank flat, so you can route for your truss rod like we did, and then we're going to put the angle into the body aspect of it. Just makes life a lot easier. And here we're going to take our 10-degree angle off of our headstock. That's still where I rest. I haven't crossed over to 7 or 8 degree yet. But I always do mention too, when I put a thin piece of veneer on there, it's probably dropping it a degree. So somewhere around the 10-degree area, I feel has a really kind of sweet spot for the right amount of tension on the strings over the nut, and just overall playability and tuning stability. Of all the guitars I've played, I've enjoyed those the most. As you do the back of the neck here, it's a little trickier, We always leave a volute on our necks, and so you can see here we're starting to pre-think, and we're going to have to notch a lot of different things out to achieve our final result here. Yeah, slow and steady we go here, and we have good measurements worked out and good lines drawn for all this stuff, so we know where we're going. And yeah, so we'll just keep working it here. It's one of the other things about watching this in real time is, sometimes when you get to certain cuts, you want to stop a second, look everything over, and really decide what the best angle of attack is going to be. And you don't always see that in fast forward, so there's nothing wrong with taking your time and then making the decision you want to make that cut. So there we are, we're knocking this off. As you can tell, this headstock's thin. We are going to have to add some extensions to it to get our headstock. Oh, camera down. Yep. A neck through blank is a lot longer than a regular neck, so be aware of your surroundings there, Mickey. But yeah, we'll get this line back up. And as we were saying, this headstock is thin and we need to put some extensions on it. And I was really stoked. Just the tiniest bit of sapwood on the edge of the neck there, and the extensions I put on, I was able to match up sapwood to sapwood, and all of the grains of wood lines came out really nicely. So we'll see that in a while. It's always fun when you can match up those headstock extensions to look really nice. And as you saw there, we're about to go through, you always want to have a spot to, if I would have just went through the back of that neck there, I would have ended up having to pull the blade all the way back through the cut. So I remembered to notch myself out there, so we'll have a good ending spot. And yeah, here, with that volute, it's always kind of a little twist to get back to the back of the neckline. And yeah, we just, we'll go through here and then we'll reverse it and notch that little section out. But, we always talk about it too, the more guitars you build, the more comfortable you get cutting these things thinner and thinner on the bandsaw and not going too far. There we are. There's lots of little extras of this rosewood, and it's some pretty wood, that's for sure. So we'll definitely be able to have some accents on some future guitars with all these offcuts. And here we are, taking that last little bit of notching off behind the volute, and we will be in business. I really like the way this is going, and yeah, we're coming together. I haven't done a ton of work with Honduras rosewood. When you first get it, it's got a nice little shellac layer on it to protect the wood, and it really makes it look brown. And as you start cutting into this and making sawdust, it definitely is a lot more pinkish purple, like standard rosewood once you dig into it. Something I wasn't really expecting, but I'm digging it. The wood grain on this wood is just beautiful, and boy, it polishes up to a very smooth surface. So it should be a very fun playable guitar, and really hoping with the neck through rosewood it's gonna retain some good vibration. So we'll see what happens there. We'll go ahead and look it over. Where are we gonna go next? Take a little chunk off by the heel, and we'll decide that's probably about enough for right now. I think we've got enough cut to where we can head into the next steps of our build, and then start figuring things out from there. So here we are. We look here, it's kind of a mock-up of it's coming together. I really like the way that worked out, and the math of doing a neck through was pretty interesting. But you can see we got some line-up pins there to help line up our gluing, and it was kind of a monkey wrestle to get that clamped up. It's basically like stacked ladder, and it worked out really well. We got a really nice joint. We went ahead and built a template there, as you can see, and that will come into play in the future. But first, we need to line up where our body's going to be and where our neck's going to be. So our last little tidbits to cut off, and yeah, it comes out pretty good with the nice sure saw. And just keep an eye close and don't go too far. Again, this doing a neck through is a whole new experience for me, so it was pretty interesting cutting these pieces off and then making that pocket in our maple top to fit right around it, snug. And yeah, we come out pretty proud of what we do in the end. But you can see that the Babinga to the rosewood there. We got a nice flat level surface, and I was really questioning my ability to do that in the beginning, but here we are, and we're moving forward. There's quite a bit of things that have happened here that we haven't seen. We do already have a slight bit of a carve on the neck, which we didn't catch, and there's going to be way too much stuff coming up in the future here that we miss, but I'm hoping you guys are at least getting the idea of how we're doing it here, and obviously if there's any questions, just holler. We'll go ahead and rinse and repeat on the other side. When we see the body surface we have here, I kind of used a combination of a Shinto rasp, an orbital sander, and a level sander, and just slowly worked my way to get that body flat. The Babinga we pre-leveled, and with the neck, we did start with 3 straight surfaces, so I was surprised how well everything went together. We'll keep keeping on here, and hope you guys are digging this. Here we have our finalized template. I decided, this guitar is outrageously heavy, and we're going to have to do a very deep hollow body cutaway inside of this. Is basically going to be chambered. We have no F-holes. It will appear to be a solid body guitar, but there's just no way around having to weight relieve a lot of this wood. I did my best to completely leave alone a huge section of the rosewood neck, because I just wanted that area to be solid. And then we'll dig as much of this Babinga out of here as we can and move forward. But yeah, this is an interesting process. It's kind of cool doing the flying V. Definitely no worries of the router falling off the edge. We're in pretty tight areas here, but it's getting pretty rewarding at this point, and can't wait for you guys to see some pictures of this thing in a few. I really have taken a well-needed break and rest from pretty much everything in life, keeping all the important stuff loaded down, but just wanted to kind of take a step away, look back, and process. And so doing camera work really just kind of fell off the radar for me a little bit, and it was a refreshing break, just to work on guitars and not have to worry about any of those pressures. So we're not going to see the top getting cut out, the top being glued on, the fretboard being made, or the fretboard being radiused. We're not going to see the headstock extensions or the headstock veneer go on until you see this guitar in my hands in a few minutes. But yeah, I'm ready to get back at it. And ooh, look at that. I was halfway through and I hit the locating pins that helped me glue it together. I was like, whoa, what is that white stuff? I was like, oh, it's just the locating pins. So it was pretty funny though. And in the end, I went ahead and did even some more weight relief in areas I could. And here we are.
All right, so here we are at the end of another episode. In our tight confines here, it's not very easy to get some good visuals of this guy and what we got going on. So we'll get a slew of photos going in at the end here. And if you made it to this point, I'm really stoked you tuned back into McD Guitars. I know it's been a while, but it's good to be back, and hopefully we'll get some progress going on these guys and continue the journey. Yeah, until we see you guys next time, I hope you're digging it, and we'll see you soon, huh? All right.